Hi, my name is Lauren Schweigert, and my final presentation is about the future of HR. How does HR add value to the future for an organization? The three main points that I'm going to talk about in my presentation of added value debate of HR are the transformation of HR practices, increased performance of HR professionals, and making optimum use of new capabilities. Our textbook talks about how competitive advantage is seen as a top way that human capital can aid in business success, but in order for that to occur, Reese and Smith cite that HR efforts on key aspects of people practice must establish that value added in the form of human capital. Okay, so the first point about redesigning or transforming HR practices in an organization, I'm going to focus on two individuals, Naveed Nizmian and Dave Ulrich. You can actually see their pictures down there at the bottom. They look like a couple of nice gentlemen. They're HR professionals that wrote a three-pronged series on HR transformation. And basically what I got out of their work and their research from 2014 is that they believe HR transformation needs to be reflected against the setting and cultural context of an organization. That also kind of goes along with the next slide too, and kind of what Reese and Smith out of our textbook, what they claim to be. They claim that the right fit of an HR practice in a firm situation is more effective than a universal best practice. In the textbook, it kind of goes back and forth between a best fit and a best practice, which one would be the best. And Meehan and Ulrich really agreed that best fit or the right fit of an HR practice is more effective. Okay, going on the redesign of HR practices, we already kind of covered the best fit method for an organization, why that's a little bit more effective. But I wanted to go into, there's three questions that Nazemian and Ulrich present in their series. And the questions are, who are we, what do we deliver, and why do we do it? And they refer to that as the HR strategy statement. Again, that was from their work in 2014. Kind of before an organization goes into redesigning and transforming their HR practices, they kind of need to answer these questions and sit down and talk about them first in order to really get down to the root of the issues. Again, identifying that HR strategy statement so that they can better identify how to change those for the future. So the first question, in order to answer that, who are we? We kind of have to know what the business context of the organization is and why they're doing what they're doing. One must understand a company's overall business, which means going beyond the HR knowledge in order to establish and comprehend the interests of key stakeholders. Also, to kind of go along with that, in order to transform HR into success for the future, any HR transformation should focus on content, what the human resources department does, and the process, how human resources can do it a little bit better. So that process really needs a business case first to develop and to decide where progress is measured against defined milestones and outcomes. Business cases like that need to be presented and need to include a task force group working with a clear statement and articulation of that HR transformation. Again, this is all coming from Nizmian and Ulrich. The organization also needs to identify how each of those groups is going to be impacted positively and negatively by the change in order to measure successful outcomes. And for each stakeholder group, there needs to be defined measures of success so that that transformation can be ruled as a success or not. Obviously, if there's more positive and negative impacts, then it's going to be a success. Reese and Smith talk about how employee engagement is really a critical factor in redesigning HR practices for a better future, as employee engagement has been linked with higher earnings per share and a higher productivity. So therefore, improving employee engagement should therefore be a key aspect of the HR strategy. So that redesign of an HR practice, or HR practices rather, talking again about how engagement, improving employee engagement needs to be a key aspect of the HR strategy and part of that HR strategy statement. Engagement leads to empowerment, which is basically the bottom line. If one desires to ensure future financial success within an organization, they should focus on redesigning and transforming those practices to improve employee engagement. A subset of employee engagement involves a redesign of performance management in order to help in that area. And another author I'm going to talk about, Christine Winter, she is out of the Journal of Human Resources, and she cites how organizations need to make a bold step by redesigning the old-fashioned performance appraisal process with a new focus on enabling high performance. So she wants to talk about going and shifting away from competitive evaluation towards coaching and development. So long story short here, according to Christine Winter and the work that Naismian and Ulrich did, acceleration and the redesign of performance management and its practices are really going to define the future of human resources. Okay, this image here, this chart, is called From Talent to People Management, and kind of going along with the last slide in the redesign of HR practices. So this is a guy named Josh Bersin, and he is being cited also in the Journal of Human Resources by Christine Winter, talking about how HR is really switching from talent management to focus on people management instead of old integrated processes and systems. Talent is core to HR and business agenda. It's more automated, practice-driven solutions, automate, integrate, the like. Now we're kind of doing more of a switch over to people management, so focusing on culture, engagement, environment, leadership, empowerment, and culture fit. So engage and empower are the two real buzzwords now of right now and kind of moving into the future of HR. So instead of those old HR practices, people management will and should replace talent management, at least according to Winter and Bersin. Acceleration in that redesign of performance management is really going to define the future of HR. Alright, the second point I make in my research paper is regarding increased performance. The second area of development in the future of HR. Naismian and Ulrich make another good point when they talk about how the success of HR transformation often relies on talent and peak performance of HR professionals. Therefore, HR transformation efforts often go along with upgrading the HR professional skill sets as well. My first point here on this slide. Again, that's from 2014. They believe that increasing skills in HR leadership will aid in the future success of an organization for two reasons. You're already developing leadership that's in place, and then you're also developing HR business partners as well. Another point of research I made highlights Deloitte University. They kind of did an HR makeover in the form of reinventing HR professionals' assignments, and showed how really now the current trend is how HR generalists are moving to a team of highly skilled business consultants. So this means greater operational efficiency. Specialists really work with each other through using centralized systems, processes, shared frameworks that really help leaders solve problems. And that's from another group, another area of research that I found on an online periodical. Mazur and a guy named Art Mazur, a group of people, wrote this in 2015. And that same group writes how, they discussed other ways to reskill HR leaders, and they kind of used the example of an HR leadership masterclass, kind of an HR university almost, started by this group. I'll say the ABG group because I don't know how to pronounce it. They're based out of India, and that master class focused on business technology, HR trends, emphasized areas such as performance, productivity, innovation, also leadership and talent, and teaming. So kind of hit everything at one time. It also sought to talk about how HR leaders were dividing their time between strategic and operating priorities, so what they were doing to advance the organization and then what they were doing to just live from day to day. So basically, this HR university, I guess, or College of HR, kind of how they refer to it, offered a blended learning curriculum to address HR learning needs, including workshops on consulting skills and interactive webinars on new HR service models, as well as blended learning activities in 4 areas. Foundational HR, business acumen, consulting, and organizational capability. So really all of that time that was taken to perfect professional development, you can see would really help to ensure an organization's success for the future. In fact, again, back to Christine Winter, she talks about how there's a high cost to organizations that neglect striving for a better balance in how leaders spend their time. So really that balance is shown that it's important. And again, Art Mazur talks about too how companies with strong development programs and focused strategies that incorporate external data from something like that HR university, that HR college, those companies far outperform their peers. Okay, for these images, these are appendixes B and C, and you can see in the first picture, it kind of shows how a traditional HR model moves from administration all the way up to policy planning, business partnering in the middle. And you can see now the future HR model that they're kind of going towards includes employer and manager self-service, which is kind of what we talked about with the change management, social media, HR technology, all the way up to business partnering, policy planning. The percentages are slightly different. So you see here in the second image, the business partnering is definitely increased because of those business partners that we're going to talk about in the next slide that are going to be a huge boost for change to the HR department in an organization. Policy planning has increased a little bit, and then administration, instead of being the basis of everything, has definitely moved to be much less than it was there. The second image on the bottom is talking about respondents' ratings of the HR organization's performance. You can kind of see going by years 2013, 2014, 2015, moving up there. So it looks like underperforming. It used to be a lot worse in 2013. Now it's getting a little bit better. But you can still see that the majority of respondents are not saying it's even in the excellent range. They're actually saying it's more in the adequate and good range. So anyway, the point of all that is saying that hopefully with advancements such as these suggested in this paper, that those respondents' ratings might change. And it kind of does show us to the gravity of that and the kind of the situation that we're in and how much we need to change. Okay, so this is still going along with the my second point of increased performance of HR professionals. And this is talking about how HR business partners can also add a huge boost for change to the HR department and organization. Basically, this involves an HR function shifting from the HR generalist model to an HR business partner role, or as they like to call it, the new basis of change, leaders leading leaders. Kind of relates to that image that I posted to this slide as well. Again, this is from Art Mazur and his work, talking about instead of simply managing transactions, implementing policies, and developing programs, the new HR organization aims to focus on understanding the needs of the business and delivering value-added solutions. So again, it's just extra value being added there. Instead of just being an HR generalist, they're moving to an HR business partner. That was a suggestion for increased skill sets of HR professionals. My third and final point for the research project was how future HR practices and new capabilities in the form of technology advancements can really also aid in the future of HR for an organization and add to its value. Again, going back to what Niesman and Ulrich talked about, they found that HR practices back in 2011, cloud application, etc., really aim to innovate business models, improve service levels, control costs. So a lot of experts think that continuing down this path by making optimum use of those new capabilities is considered the future, but best-in-class operations are still a long way off. Art Mazur also adds that many organizations are moving to global business service models, and other back office functions and systems are transitioning to cloud technology. So these new HR technology platforms offer more access to data, easier ways to get analytics done and assessments. This is really going to help in the areas of employee self-service and also closing gaps between what leaders want and what HR is actually providing. And that goes along with the image that I posted in here from another appendix. Just really, again, what leaders want and what HR is actually providing. Obviously, just to kind of sum up everything, advancements in technology have a huge role in redefining HR in the future. Since a lot of traditional employee services are handled through human capital management technologies and easy to access online and mobile applications, cloud technology is really taking over more of those HR activities than traditional models. This is what we're seeing going into the future, which gives HR more opportunity to spend time on advising and consulting rather than doing kind of that back burner type thing. So again, efficiency and effectiveness are really going to be the main players now, which is made possible, again, by the new technology advancements. Alright, well that is the end of my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it. Basically just remembering the final points. HR transformation as a whole is a definite way to add future value to your organization and ensure success for later years. So if companies manage to take advantage of trends that I've seen in my research, such as redesigning practices in their organization, upgrading an HR professional skill set, and advancements in technology, their future might look a little bit more secure. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much. Have a great night.